Just thinking about them makes me feel ill. Hello, fellow book nerds. This is Gabby, and today I am here with the worst books of 2022 video. I wanted to do like disappointing books, but honestly, considering as of right now, which is 2 weeks before the end of the year, I have read 113 books, and I really struggled making this list. I couldn't really come up with that many, so I went through my spreadsheet. I went and saw what did I give 2 stars to, like under 3, like what was actually bad. And that's how I got this list of 5 books. 5 books I gave less than 3 stars to. That means it was an amazing reading year and I had a blast, and I thought, you know what, maybe these books are worth mentioning, because if they're the only 5 books in the whole wild 113 books I read, that's the only ones I read gave less than 3 stars. Maybe I'm too generous, but maybe also they were really bad and I should tell you about them. So let's make this quick, let's make it painless, and there's gonna be a special little section where I tell you DNFs, because unlike other years, I actually had 2 DNFs this year, which is kind of exciting for me. One of them is only half official because I cannot commit to anything. But I am pretty certain one of them I'm 1000% never reading, and second one I don't think I will. So the one that's like kind of like delicate DNF that I probably will not pick this up again is Kings of the Wyld by Nicholas Eames. So Kings of the Wilds was super popular at one point and everyone was talking about it, everyone wanted to read it. And this book is kind of like fantasy but funny. So apparently it's for fans of Dungeons and Dragons, because it's a spin on fantasy that's kind of more like a comedy, and it's about a band of old warriors who used to be like the best in their land, and they're getting back together to help out one of them with his daughter who's in danger. So we follow them, and honestly I don't think I've ever spoken about this book because I picked up the audiobook. I got halfway through and I was like, how am I only halfway through, and when will this torture end? Because I don't really care that much, but at the same time I really don't like what I don't even care about. So eventually I just stopped listening. I was like, I'm not gonna waste this many hours. Also, when you listen to books, it takes longer. So I feel like I am not wasting my time listening to this. So I stopped. My problem with this book, it did really feel like Dungeons and Dragons adventure. Like, you go on a quest, then you have a side quest to the quest, and you complete the task and you get the magical object. Then the magical object tells you to go complete another side quest, and when you do that side quest, you're gonna get some special knowledge. It was so episodic and really kind of disjointed. We're halfway through this book. They only barely got the band back together. There were so many funny gags or whatever that I think were meant to be funny, but I just found them kind of tedious. There's a repeating this repeating pattern of them getting mugged by this group of women, and I was like, is this meant to be funny because they're women so they're not gonna fight back? Like, I was confused, and I just didn't care about any of the characters. Overall, this felt like very like dude bro kind of fantasy. I don't know, maybe I like my fantasy a bit more serious, but I do love humor. I like funny books, but this did not work for me. Extremely disappointed, because I thought I would like it, but then unfortunately I didn't, and I DNF'd it. And then another book, I don't think I've read a worse book in my life. So it's called Mermaid by Tom Lowe, and honestly it was wild. So it's book like 19 in a series about a detective, and I wanted to read it because it had mermaid in the title. I thought that'd be fun. It sounded kind of nice. It's about a string of murders where women turn up with like fishtails because they're part of this like aqua park amusement where they perform as mermaids. I don't really read books by men, period. I read books by women. There's like a small percentage of men that I'll read from, and so I never really got, or I never really first-hand experienced, or if I did, I forgot about it, the atrocity that is men writing women. First of all, the book was just badly written, period. But then, why was there a scene between this detective and his wife, and she apologizes for like having a miscarriage and then like not having sex with him or something? And it was just so uncomfortable. I had like a whole TikTok about it. What was wrong with this book? I think I read this for a vlog actually, and DNF'd in the vlog and explained. But it was horrifically written. I didn't know what's happening. I didn't care. I only got maybe 5% in it, and I was like, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this to myself. I'm not doing it to you guys. I'm not doing it. So, DNF. But that being out of the way, I think it's time to talk about the 5 worst books I actually read back to back and finished in 2022. Let's do this. These are in no particular order, but I guess they're in order in the year when I read them. So let's start very strong. And this might be the book I least enjoyed reading this year. I had a bad time and I feel bad. Hannah, my friend, I'm sorry, she recommended this book to me and I hate it. It's called These Violent Allies by Micah Nemerever. I don't know. I'm sorry, not to be confused with These Violent Allies by Chloe Gong, which is a delightful book. But this was not delightful. So this book starts off and you think, ooh, is this dark academia? What's happening? But I don't know what is happening. What is happening and what this is just like a torturous ride through a psychotic person's brain. So we follow a boy who, I don't know, he like lives with his family but hates his family for no goddamn reason. And then he meets another boy and it's like a male-male romance. But honestly, when I tell you the main character is so disturbed, absolutely out of this world disturbed, and the relationship is so toxic. And like, it was fascinating because I don't think it was a badly written book. I don't think this book inherently is bad, and you know, I don't think like it peddles bad moral, like I don't care about that. I love portraying like evil bad characters, but being stuck in this man's mind nearly drove me insane. Probably the fact that I was listening to it didn't help, but my god, seriously, what is wrong with him? The main character, his mind is like the desolate earth. You know, have you watched Zack Snyder's Justice League? And you know when they're in that weird future and it's like the Joker's working with the Batman and there's like everything looks terrible and whatever? That's what this felt like. This is what his mind is like. It was disturbing. I didn't have a good time. I struggled reading this because I just wanted to do anything else but read this book. And I'm sorry, Hannah, but it's on this list. Then I read The Seas by Samantha Hunt. So overall, my pursuit of mermaid books has been so tragic. None of them are good. I thought I loved mermaids. Apparently I only loved them on film because tragedy. But in this one, I don't even remember exactly what it's about. I think it's about this girl whose father left, but before he died. But before he died, he told her she was a mermaid, and she's like super convinced she's a mermaid. And the whole book is just this fever dream of, is she a mermaid or just extremely disturbed? And it's just kind of like, and we're just going like that through the whole book, and it kind of like, you don't really get a definitive answer. It was super wild, it was super disjointed, and then she gets in a relationship with this older man, and that was really gross, and I just didn't like it. I don't know, this one I would just say it was like a fever dream. That's the only way I can describe it. It's one of those books where you read it, you read it and you think to yourself, I don't understand what I just read. Like I actually do not understand what just happened. And that was me reading this book. So I don't know if that, and it was a different type of disturbed from These Violent Delights, because These Violent Delights, it made sense. It was disturbed, but I understood what was happening. With The Seas, absolutely no clue. This girl could be a mermaid, she could be a fish, She could be a mammoth, she could be a normal person. I have no clue. I don't understand. Okay, book number 3 in the worst books I read in 2022 is Nothing by Blackened Teeth by Cassandra Khaw. So this book, I was quite excited. It's a horror, it's a short kind of novella thing, and it's about a group of friends who are going for a like bachelorette party for this couple. So they're all going together to this old haunted mansion in Japan. And again, this book was insane. And again, in this seas way where I didn't know what happened. I don't understand what happened. It was so disjointed, so weirdly written. We were talking in this scene and then magically we transport and we're in this scene talking about something else. And I feel like it was meant to be scary and like horror and like filled with that genre and that vibe. To me, it was just confusing. Like I wasn't scared, I was confused. I don't know what happened in this book. I don't remember what happened in this book, first of all. But also, like, I don't understand what happened. And it was just so weirdly disjointedly written. I like my stories nicely written, beautiful, and at least making sense is my bare minimum. But, you know, if I actually enjoyed it, that would be a plus. Next up, we have 9 Lives by Peter Swanson. So this book is a thriller, and it's kind of a play on And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. And I don't know if you read And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie, but it's a really, really good book about like people who get mysteriously invited to an island and start dying one by one. Whereas in this book, there's a set group of people who get letters with their name. Yeah, I think it's just a letter with their name and nothing on it. And then they start dying. This book was the most poorly constructed, convenient, absolutely out of this world, ridiculous motive, poorly thought out murder mystery ever. It was weirdly written. It had no consistency in terms of like who the person speaking is, what the tense is, what the perspective is. At some point we get like everyone's perspectives, then middle of the book there's this weird like chase where we just follow 2 characters for God knows how many pages and we gotta get back to the main story. It was so poorly thought out and clearly the author just wanted to do whatever. And then I think from what I remember, like the person who did it, I thought it was the stupidest, most contrived motive I've ever heard in my life, and I did not care for it. So in the end, this was just a bad thriller that I didn't enjoy. And you know, thrillers can be winners, they can be losers, but this one was just particularly bad. And the last book I want to mention, I don't know if I hated it, but it got like 2.5 stars, so I had to be on this list. So it's Femlandia by Christina Dalcher. And this book is interesting. So it has a very interesting premise. So it's about our world, but like dystopian future where pensions went wrong. I didn't entirely understand, but something about pensions went wrong. And basically the world kind of bankrupted and a lot of people took their own lives, and there was like a really, really, really bad financial crash. But that financial crash actually kind of like completely collapsed the society. And prior to the financial crash, there was this concept of Femlandia, which was kind of like a commune somewhere in the desert, and they have like several of these communes, like one in Alaska, one in the desert, like all around the United States. It's like a commune just for women, so it's like a community of women that came together and lived together, but no men are allowed. And the main protagonist is the daughter of the founder of this community, but she is not a women's rights activist or like a man hater. I don't know. So basically she like denounced her mother and lives a normal life, but then her husband takes her life because of the financial crash. They're completely bankrupt, and her daughter kind of go on this journey to like survive, and they stumble upon Femlandia and like look for the asylum there. I just thought this book was not well thought out. I just think it was really like man hating bad, women also bad, but men also bad, everyone bad. And it just felt like a very unnuanced look, despite the fact that it wanted to be nuanced and it wanted to have a different perspective, because the main character is like, oh, but men deserve rights too, and like, I'm not saying they don't, but I'm just saying like the book was really like, you're either a terrible man hater or you're like a, you know, like a feminazi and you want all the men to die, or like you are a normal person. because she was essentially normal, but it's just like because the other side was so crazy, she had to really push back. And like, I don't know, I've read other books where it was like, I think it was called The End of Man. I read this year as well, and it's about a disease that only affects men, so the society kind of becomes women only. And that was such a nuanced and interesting look at what society could look like and at this issue, and it was so complex. Whereas this one was just like, I don't know what it was trying to do. It was like it was trying to argue men deserve to live. I don't know who's arguing that men don't deserve to live. And I understand that this was a dystopia, but it just, I don't know. I feel like the author thought they were doing something and they were not doing it. So for me, it just didn't work. I just didn't really connect with it, and I didn't think it had anything interesting to say, really. Okay, well, those are all of the worst books I read in 2022. All of the books I gave less than 3 stars. I think it's shocking and amazing that it's only 5 books. I read so many books, and only these really like made me annoyed or made me see that like don't see any value from me reading them and that kind of stuff. And the 2 DNFs as well. I think I don't like DNFing necessarily, but I think maybe I should embrace it a little bit. But I feel like even doing these 2 light DNFs, if really doesn't connect early on, I think I should just do it. But yeah, those are all the books on my worst list. Have you read any of these? They're such random picks. I just kind of picked them up on a whim, and then they were like insane, and I didn't like them. So I don't know, but you know, these Violent Delights, I feel like that was kind of popular with people at the time, and same with Kings of the Wyld and maybe Nothing But Blackened Teeth. But I don't also think I have super unique views here, so let me know what you thought. If you enjoyed this video, let me know. There is a best books of 2022 list, and when I tell you I struggled to make the list, believe me, because it was hard. There were so many amazing books to choose from. So keep an eye out for that video. I think this one might be coming first, but it's all going to be in the playlist. Check out both of them. Let me know what's your worst book you read in 2022. Put it in a comment. I really want to know what's the worst book you read. I will stay clear. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you would comment, like, and subscribe, I really appreciate it. It really helps me out. But that's it from me, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!